Well, it is World Copyright Day, and here at home, the recording industry of South Africa is voicing concerns about the harmful provisions of the Copyright Performers Protection Amendment bills. It's made representations to a select parliamentary portfolio committee. Now, it is worried about recommendations that it says will have damaging and harmful consequences. Well, let's discuss this further. We are joined now by the CEO of the recording industry of South Africa, Nhlanhla Sibisi. Mr. Sibisi, thank you so much for your time, and a very good morning to you. Let's speak a little bit about some of these concerns that were raised. One such are looking at, to the Section 39 that includes several provisions which deprive artists and producers of their freedom to contract and extend ministerial powers to regulate private contractual arrangements. And then there's another one where you've described it as an open-ended US-style fair use. Just expound a little bit about some of those concerns that were tabled.
Good morning to you, Faith, and to your viewers, and thanks for the opportunity. Now, those three sections are sections that we believe are going to harm the creative sector as a whole. So if you start off with the standard contracts, the bill is proposing standard contracts across all copyright-based sectors. Now, you and I know we've dealt with template contracts from banks, etc., etc. It doesn't give you the ability to negotiate based on whether it is your experience in the creative sector or because you believe you have a great product that you can negotiate with the producer. This doesn't necessarily allow you that. But also, how is the minister going to know how to impose those standard contractual terms across all sectors? And I say this because looking at the bills, it has become clear that even the department sometimes has little knowledge of how the various sectors operate. I mean, I can give one example where they've come up with a reversion provision in the sound recording space, in the music sound recording space, where once you've recorded a performer, the performance and the performer's consent reverts after 25 years. It's like unscrambling the egg. So the department needs to do a proper economic impact study to understand how the various provisions are going to affect the various creative sectors.
You know, as you're speaking here about how it translates on the ground into people that are actually involved in the industry, just talk to us a little bit about this, because it's Section 12A introducing this open-ended US-style fair use exception into South Africa's copyright law, which causes substantial risk to SA creative sector. If you're going to be, first of all, using a US-style approach to something that is happening within a developing economy in a developing country, that in itself means that you're far removed not only from the sector of industry, but really how the application of law translates into implementation.
It's like you were part of the various engagements we've had with the department raising similar concerns, because the fair use is based on US. And we know that in the United States, people are able to litigate, and South Africans are not like that. So this introduction exposes creators into an environment where if they have to exercise their rights, they now have to go to either a copyright tribunal or they have to go to a court. And invariably, they'll be dealing with big tech companies that have deep pockets who can get the best legal minds anywhere in the world, bring expert witnesses to defend their case. And the sad part about the South African judicial system, it does not have a punitive damages system. So after you've gone through the legal process and the other party is found to have infringed your copyright, the court is going to try and place you in a position you would have been had you granted consent. Now, it's not punitive, because by that time, the tech company could have made millions of rands through advertisement, but all you are limited to is what you would have received had you granted consent in the first place. It is unfair. It places our creatives in a very difficult position of having to litigate each time their work is being used without permission. But as you know, Faith, we're now into AI-generated content. We have litigation across the world, all fighting about AI using copyrighted material to learn and produce new content. And they're using copyrighted material without the permission of the owners of that copyright. So imagine then if they introduce these wide exceptions in the country, we are going to be a guinea pig. We are going to be used as a testing ground. And unfortunately, we will not have enough money to always litigate to stop that from happening.
But then it makes you wonder how much consultation was actually done with the people that know how the industry works. Laws are good. Laws are there for the protection, or they're supposed to be there for the protection of mankind, especially the most vulnerable, especially the ones that unfortunately get eaten by the sharks of the industry when all they want to do is just be able to be creative, right? So we understand why we've got certain rights and copyright policies and the likes in place. However, if you do not understand, if you do not consult with those that are actually within the industry, then you'll start having a top-down approach to this kind of law, and then you'll have obviously the back push. How much consultation is involved in being able to come up with some of these laws?
There has been consultation, Faith. The unfortunate part is that there's consultation, and consultation, it is what it is, where you go and meet with people, they raise concerns, you ignore them, and then you say you've consulted. So there hasn't been a constructive engagement where issues of concern by the industry are taken into account by the department. I mean, fair use is a typical example. We currently use in our law what is called fair dealing, where the list of exceptions are clear. You understand, you go to the Act, you know exactly under what circumstances someone can use your work without permission, right? They then decided to move away from that policy into a fair use policy without any consultation, without any economic impact study on how this introduction will affect and harm the various copyright-based sectors. So yes, there might have been a consultation, but to some of us, it now feels like it was a tick box exercise.
And when it comes to the artists as well as some of those that are in the creative industry, what has been their take? Because a lot of times I feel like those are the ones that perhaps receive the news the most latest, you know, that the information does not get disseminated adequately. And we've seen this time and time again in Ntantla, where an artist will just sign, you know, they'll sign because livelihoods are at stake. They'll sign because all they want is just that big break and they don't even know what they're signing away. Any response from these creatives?
There has been some artists that have participated, but as you know, copyright is a very complex subject, and often it's not drafted in ways that a layman can understand. So I can see how the artists are not finding excitement when they read the provision. It's more like the department, and I guess everyone else should have taken the time to go through the various performers, creators in the sector and explain precisely what the bills seek to achieve, right? So that they are then able to voice their concern in their own languages. I've attended the provincial hearings. It's sad because some of the concept cannot be explained in a mother tongue, in a language that is understood by the various sectors. And the departments have not translated, as they were supposed to, translated the provisions that are being put to the public into languages that they can understand. In fact, in some cases, the bills were not even put in front of the communities where these public hearings were taking place. So I think it's a rushed process. I think we can do better. I feel that the department should press pause, then engage effectively with performers, as you say, and put them in a room and explain in detail the impact of some of these provisions in their livelihood.
Yeah. Ntantla, very quickly, before I let you go also, you know, never mind this copyright issues, and you're absolutely correct in saying that we need more adequate and appropriate information dissemination so that it does not fly over people's heads. Once it flies over their heads, they can be taken advantage of, especially by some of these major corporations that just seek to have that creative power. And clearly, our creators have got that ability to make something that translates across the global community. But also, it is awards season, as you would know, and more than anything else, it's not just about getting that little medal trophy at the end of the night, but it's more about how that translates into, again, the ability to push your music or your work and the likes. With this award seasons that is coming up, what do you guys actually do to support these creatives, these artists, in being able to sustain livelihood, but more than anything else, expound and reach across those barriers, even with the dawn of technology as well as AI?
One of the things that I believe we did well together with the department, in 2002, we introduced an amendment to the Copyright Act. That amendment introduced what is called needle time, which allows performers and producers to earn a royalty whenever their music is broadcast on radio. In the last 5 years, the industry has been able to pay back to the performers and producers about 1.5 billion rands. So that's a positive. But also, I'm in a space where we run the South African Music Awards, and those serve as an inspiration in the industry, and they are like a Grammy of South Africa, and therefore they provide artists with a platform to market themselves. So all of those things assist to a large extent in providing opportunities for artists.
Yeah. Nhlanhla, we'll leave it there for this morning, but much appreciated for your time, the CEO of the recording industry of South Africa, Nhlanhla Sibiso.